Welcome to the next section of the course and to a brand new React project. Over the course of the next couple of sections, we're going to be building an employee registry, and it's going to look like this. It's going to be a simple page where we're going to show a bunch of employee cards representing the employees at our fictional company. At the very top, we're going to have an input where the user can type an employee's name, and we're going to filter the results, or in other words, the cards below, to those that match the user's search term. So for example, if the user types the characters HA, like so, we're going to filter those cards, those employee cards, to show just the results that have the characters HA. So you can imagine this being helpful in something like a human resources department where you want to track down an employee and obviously identify things like their title. But there's actually going to be a lot of complexity even in this kind of simple application. So first up, the cards themselves are going to be populated by data that we're eventually going to get by making a request to a mock backend. So these names and titles are going to come from an API response. And we're going to use a technology called JSON Server to set up a mock backend so that I can show you how to make requests in React and then how to take that data and also save it to state. There's also going to be other dynamic elements that are ever changing. For example, at the very top below the employee registry header, you can see we're going to have a ticking clock. So every second, we're going to update that clock to show the most up-to-date time. And that, of course, is a perfect example of state that needs to change over time, every second, in fact, and is not actually based on any kind of user interaction. So we're going to talk about how we can establish that kind of interval logic where we can have an update every 1 second to the component as long as that component is on the screen. And this is going to allow us to, once again, showcase multiple parts of the React ecosystem. We're going to follow a similar paradigm to what we did in previous sections where we're going to start building this using the old class component approach. So I can show you how we used to solve this problem in the old days. Then we're going to write a test suite. And then, of course, we're going to refactor it to use a new approach using hooks. On top of that, one additional cool thing is we're going to build all of this UI using a component library. So rather than styling many things ourselves, we're going to bring in a pre-built collection of components. And that is just going to allow us to introduce, again, more details, more facets, more elements of the React ecosystem to build, again, something closer to a real-world project. So to summarize, here's a bunch of things that we're going to cover in this section of the course. We're going to introduce component libraries like Material UI, which are going to give us access to pre-styled cards and headers and text inputs, etc. We're going to learn about React lifecycle methods in class components. We're going to talk about making API requests with libraries like Axios. Then when we're talking about testing, we're going to talk about how we can mock those API requests using Jest. There is a typo in that fourth bullet, so I apologize. But we're going to learn how to use Jest to mock out our API requests so that we do not actually have to make a real-world network request when we are testing our component in isolation. And then, of course, we're going to transition and refactor our class component into a functional component using hooks, and that is going to allow us to introduce the popular use effect hook. So once again, you're going to get a history or a sneak peek at the evolution of the React library and an evolution of the way that it solved problems over time. All right, so lots of fun concepts to cover over the course of the next couple of sections, and I will see you in the next lesson.